Yeah, hello. We're back in the shop again. I'm Earl. This is Earl's Small Segment Shop. Now, I've been planning on doing a medium-sized turning with 3 different patterns. I've been talking about it and thinking about it. Been planning on doing it. I was tasked with making a donation turning, and now I'm tasked with making a small box. I got to make a box. I was asked to, and I said I would. Kind of pressured into it, but whatever. It's going to be really a utility box being used a lot. So I'll make it nice, but I ain't going to make it really super nice because it's going to be used and abused and whatever. So I'm going to make it about 6 inches in diameter. I'm going to make a solid bottom because it is a utility box. And I'm going to make it not very tall, just a little bit tall. I'm going to use a light colored bottom, and I think I'll probably use maple for the middle ring, but I'm going to put a trim ring on the right above the bottom, and I'm going to put a trim ring right above the top. What I'm going to do is make a yellow heart ring, and then I'm going to put red heart spacers in it. I'll make one ring, glue it to the bottom. I'll split it in half and save half for the top trim ring, so it won't be very tall. So first thing I got to do to make a bottom, I got this, it's good hardwood. I want to use a good hardwood so I don't get too much tear out on the end grain. This is Gonklo Elves. It's a really light colored piece. So I'm going to cut it a square piece off. I'll put it in my cold jaws, and like always, I'll turn a mortise in it, and I'll turn a ring around the edge for the bandsaw cut. The first thing I'm going to do is square it up. I got it in the cold jaw, got it marked here where I'm going to cut a mortise, and I got it marked around the edge where I'm going to cut a groove to guide the bandsaw. I got it mounted on the chuck now with a mortise. I'm going to turn it around. It's already cut round, but I'm going to turn it perfectly round. I'm going to dish it out some and leave an edge to glue on the first ring. And it's going to be flat bottom, so I'm just going to dish it out a little bit. And like I said, leave a ring here on the edge, glue the first segmented ring on. I've got the base dished out a little bit, got the edge flattened, got about this much on the edge. I'm going to make a trim ring. I'm going to make it from yellow heart and bloodwood. I'm going to use 16 segments per ring, something simple. What I'm going to do is cut 16 segments of the yellow heart and then put bloodwood spacers between them. It's going to be a 6-inch circle, the bottom 6 inches, just exactly 6 inches. And so a 6-inch circle, 16 segments, is 1.1934. I'm going to put in spacers that are, I think, 0.3 inches. I'm just going to cut straight pieces, 0.3 inches. And so 0.3 from 1.1934 gives me 0.8934. So actually just 0.9 be close enough. So first I'm going to cut some 0.3 inch spacers Then I'm going to cut 16 segments at an angle of 11.25 to 0.9. Got 16 yellow heart segments cut. I got 16 bloodwood spacers cut. They're just plain straight-sided spacers, 0.3 inches thick. Now I'm going to have to put them in a ring and dry clamp them. Make sure they're tight before I glue them up. Okay, I've got them dry clamped now. Make sure they're tight, and they are, they're tight. 16 segments and 16 spacers. And my calculations were right. It is exactly 6 inches. How about that, huh? So now, I'll glue them together and let them set for at least 15 minutes. After that, I can flatten one side, I'll glue it on, then I'll turn and flatten the other side, then I'll part it in half. So I'll have a small ring on the bottom and I'll have half of it for a small ring up on towards the top. The second ring is just plain ordinary old maple ring. Again, 6 inches. It's going to be a straight-sided box. 16 segments. Dry clamp them. Glue them up. Meantime, this is set for 15 minutes. Still got wet squeeze out in places, but I don't care. I'm going to flatten one side and then glue it onto the base. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue this up, flatten that one. This ring's flattened. Got it in the cold jar, got it on my live center that fits in the tailstock. So put a bit of glue on it. That should suffice. Put it in the tailstock. Bring it up. Just where it touches, and I'll smear the glue around. Get the glue smeared out good. Don't need to line it up because the bottom's a solid piece. It don't make no difference. Flop her down. We'll let her sit a while, at least 15 minutes. Then we'll split it in half. Well, this ring's been glued on. I turned it round on the inside, turned it round on the outside, turned it flat, sanded it flat, get a good glue surface for later. Now I'm going to part it in half. Keep half for the top and leave half on the bottom here. Okay, the dot-to-dot ring, the trim ring, been parted. The piece left has been flattened, smooth, ready to have another ring glued on. The maple ring I made is ready to glue on one flat surface. I'm going to put it in the cold jaws and glue it on same way. Putting in the cold jar, putting the cold jaws in the tailstock means it's centered. It ain't going to slide off center. All I got to do is rotate it to the spot I want, clamp it down in 15 minutes. I can glue on another ring, turn it, whatever. So I'm going to glue this ring on. I parted a piece off, and I'm saving it to put on top of this ring. So it's going to be a trim ring, this ring, another trim ring, Now I got to make another maple ring. So I'm going to put on top of the trim ring, just a little one. I'm going to part it off and use the other half on top of the lid, or on the edge of the lid. So first thing I'm going to do, put this in the coal jaws and glue it on, let it set up a little bit. Of course I'm going to make the joints brick laid for strength. I'm going to go ahead and just glue that on right now. The maple ring is glued on. Now I'm going to go in and start turning the inside. The hardest part of making a box is turning the devil's elbow. The devil's elbow, of course, is where the inside bottom meets the edge coming up. It's a square corner in there. And there's many different ways of getting in there and doing it. Everybody's got their own way of doing it. But I got here is a round carbide bit on a round shaft, but a really tiny, tiny bit. Really small bit. And it's perfect for getting in there. Turn it up 50 degrees and come in and get right in that elbow. But I'm going to start turning it inside because it's easier to get to now and get in there and get that turned. Then I'm going to flatten the top and I'm going to glue this on the top trim. After that, I'm going to glue another maple ring on it, and I'm going to part it so there's just a little bit of maple ring above this. And then I'm going to use the rest of the maple ring for the lid. The second trim ring is glued on. After it dries for 15 minutes, I got to turn it down to the same thickness as the bottom one. It's thicker right now. After I get it turned down, then I can glue on this ring. And I'm going to part this ring off because I only want just a little bit over the top of the trim ring. Then I'm going to use the rest of this to make the top. I'm going to make a top with one solid piece over this. So as soon as that dries for a while, I'll make sure it's flattened, turn down the size, and then we'll glue this one on. I've got the top trim ring glued on. It's much thicker than the bottom one. I got to turn it down to the same thickness. And of course make the top flat and ready. After I do that, I'll glue this ring on. Then I'll part it off just to leave a little bit above the trim ring. And then I'll use the rest for the top. I got this top piece glued on. Now I'm going to part it off right here so I just have a little piece above the trim ring. Okay, I parted it off, finished turning the inside, turned the outside, and sanded it. Sanding is real quick, real quick. Took it all the way up the grids. Only took me a couple of minutes to sand it. If you don't believe me, go look at my sanding video. Sanding is so easy, and everybody seems to think it's hard. But I got a beautiful shine on it now. I'll put a little finish on it. Then I'll make a top that fits in it before I turn it over and do the bottom. Well, I'll take it off. I'll take it off the chuck. I got to make a top that fits right in. I cut a groove right around in here, a rabbet, so the top can fit in. I got the basic box built. Solid bottom. Trim ring I parted. Put a maple ring in. Put the other piece of parted trim ring on. Put maple. Cut it off. Turn the outside. Turn the inside. The hard part right here is what's called the devil's elbow. Right there at the bottom. And I have a little tool I love using for that. So I turned the inside. I made a rabbet right in here so I can fit the top in. Now I don't want a piston fit on this. I want it just a little bit loose. Not real loose, but just a little bit. So I'm going to make the top. And I'm going to use this on the top so I can make a ring that fits right in here. I'll cut away 90% of this to do it. And I'm going to make a top out of solid material, just like a bottom. I still got to turn the bottom. I can do that now or I can wait. I think I might do that now. Put it in the cold jaws. I can hold it from the outside in the cold jaws with the tapered pins. And then bring a tailstock up. I can turn the bottom. I might do that now before I make the top. I got the top taped to protect it. Got it in the cold jaws. Brought the tailstock up to hold it from the bottom. So I'm just going to turn the bottom a little bit. Just smooth this ridge out. Give it a smooth edge to sit on. And then just sand it a little bit and put some finish on it. Well, I got the bottom part finished. Turned the bottom on it. Put a little finish on it. Ain't too bad. I got to make a top now. I'm sitting here debating what to make a top out of. I'm going to use this maple to make a little ring just to fit in there. Like I said, cut about 90% of it away. Just a little ring to fit in here. So, I think what I'm going to do is use some walnut. Regular old American walnut. Make a top with it. And then I'm still debating on what I'm going to do, make a knob for the top. Thinking I might make a knob with yellow heart and bloodwood. Make yellow heart, bloodwood, yellow heart, and then turn it into a knob. But we'll see about that. Well, first thing I think I'm going to do is cut a square of this off. Cut a square of this off and I'll put a mortise in it to put it in the chuck. Well, I changed my mind. I went with maple instead of the walnut. Get rid of the walnut here. We don't need it. I took the maple, put a mortise in it so I can mount it on the chuck. I glued the leftover segmented ring on it. So this is going to be the inside. I dished it out a little bit. Glued the ring on. What I got to do now is turn this ring so it fits into the rabbet here. So it just fits into the rabbet. To do that, I'll mount it on the chuck and I'll start turning it. Measure the depth of the rabbet and start turning it in till I just get a fit in the rabbet. Now I don't want a real tight fit. I want it just a little bit loose so that a change of weather won't make it freeze up or anything. After I do that, then I'll finish shaping the inside here. I'll drill a hole right in the middle. Then I'll turn it around and shape the outside. So it's going to be a raised top. It's not going to be just a flat top. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chuck and make this fit the rabbet. I got it turned now where it fits. just a little bit loose. So what I'm going to do now is put blue tape in here to get a tight fit. I'm going to put this on, bring the tailstock up to hold it, and I'm going to turn this down to the same diameter as the bottom. Lip here, turn to fit inside the rabbet. I've got the outside right here turned, same diameter as the bottom piece. So I'm going to go ahead and finish shaping the inside, thin this down a little bit, and I'm going to sand it, probably put some finish on the inside. I turned the inside, sanded it, put finish on it. It's got a beautiful shine on it. What I'm going to do now is drill a hole right in the middle. I'm going to drill a 1/4 inch hole right through the middle of it. The reason I'm doing that, when I go to put the knob on the top, I'm going to use 1/4 inch dowel. Put through the knob. Holds the knob real good. Better than just gluing them on. So I'm going to go ahead and real carefully drill a hole right through the middle. The inside's finished. I got the piece here that just fits into the rabbet. Pretty good. The very edge here, same diameter as the bottom. Got a hole drilled through the middle. Like I said, when I go to put the knob on, I'll use 1/4 inch dowels. Put them in a hole. That holds the knob good. So now what I got to do is put this on the coal jaws, bring the tailstock up at a point, put it in a hole, and shape the top of it, give it a nice shape. I put a mortise in it, but that's no problem. The maple I use is plenty thick. The fact is, that's why I used it, because it's thicker than a walnut. So I got plenty of meat to work with. And just give it a good shape. And remember not to turn right here on the edge anymore. Just bring it down to it. Give it a nice dome shape. When I get that done, I'll sand it, put finish on it, and then think about the knob. The box is finished. The top is basically finished. Got a nice spacious top, a dome top, nice area in it. Fits pretty good. Not tight, loose, nice loose fit. Only thing I need now is a knob. I'm debating what kind of knob I'm going to put on it. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'll put a nice curved knob on it with a flat top, I think. Got to drill a hole in the bottom of the knob. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Somewhat like the shape of this, more or less. I think that would look good on it. Just got to figure out what wood I'm going to use. I made just a simple little knob for it. Put it on with a dowel. You can see the hole here where the dowel goes in. That's where I drilled a hole through. Simple little box, nothing special. Utility box, what it is. Got it finished. And then my wife tells me, she said, well, I don't think that's what they wanted, was a box that size. I think they wanted 2 little boxes. So my wife calls them, and they say, yeah, they want 2 little boxes, just big enough to put your hand in. Great. So now, with misinformation, I made one box, and now they think I'm going to make 2 little boxes. Well, my wife says I'm going to, so I guess I'm going to make 2 little boxes. And what they're used for They're going to be used in a kitchen, a commercial kitchen, I think. So they're going to get dirty and nasty right away. I'll make one light and one dark. I'll make a light one out of maple, obviously. I don't know what I'm going to make a dark one out of yet. I'll find something to make it out of. I'll make them about 4 inches outer diameter, yeah, something like that. Make it more simple than this one, I guarantee you that. I'm getting tired of this. So first thing I got to do, find a couple of woods and make some 4-inch bases. I'm going to make them the same way I did the other one. Put them in a cold jaw, put a mortise in them, cut a groove around them for the bandsaw, then put them in a chuck. So first thing I'm going to do is find a couple of wood. I'm going to keep it even more simple this time than last time. I decided maple, of course, for one. Well, these ain't really square. Close enough, I guess. The other one I'm going to use Peruvian walnut. And I cut 2 pieces, one for the bottom, one for the top. Same thing with a Peruvian walnut, one for the bottom, one for the top. So I'm going to chuck one up, cold jaws, turn a mortise in it, put a groove around it to cut the, for the bandsaw to cut the edge. Then I'll mount the first one on the chuck, dish it a little bit, turn it round, then we'll make some rings for it. Ain't going to be very deep, I guarantee you that. Got a mortise cut in 2 of them. Rounded them on the bandsaw. Not perfectly round, of course. So I'm going to chuck one up. Oh no, probably start with a maple. Chuck it up. Turn it round. It's almost round. Turn it round. Dish the center. Leave an area on the edge. Sand it flat. And then I'm going to be able to make the first segmented ring. I'll make a segmented ring for it. I'm going to make some rings for it. I think I'll make a small, thin Peruvian walnut ring for the maple one, and a small, thin maple ring for the Peruvian walnut one. And of course then I'll make some bigger rings, a maple ring for the maple one and a Peruvian walnut for the Peruvian walnut one. So, the rings are all going to be 4-inch diameter. I'm going to use 16 segments. That means cut length of 0.7956, so 0.8 will be close enough. So I'm going to set my calipers up to 0.8, set my angle up to 11.25, my fence up, 0.800. Okay, I'll set the stop block up. I got the fence set up to 11.25 degrees. I'll have to find some thin stock to cut some segments with, then I'll find some, well, I got the thick stock already cut. And I'll cut 16 segments of each one. I've got the maple bottom on the lathe now. Got it ready for the first ring. The walnut bottom I don't have ready for the first ring. No, I don't have it mounted. It's right here. I got it mortise so I can mount it, but I'll do it after I do the maple one. Now the maple box, I'm going to put a thin ring of Peruvian walnut on it, right on the base. And of course the Peruvian walnut base, I'll put a thin ring. I was going to put a thin ring of maple on it, but I didn't have any thin maple. But I did have some sycamore, so I cut a thin ring of sycamore. I cut all 4 rings at once, and I got a big ring of maple cut, and of course a big ring of Peruvian walnut cut. So I'll put a thin ring of Peruvian walnut on the maple bottom, then I'll put a big ring of maple on it, then I'll turn that into a box, and I'll make the lid later. And I'll do just the opposite with the Peruvian walnut base. I'll put a thin ring, in this case of sycamore on it, and then a big ring of Peruvian walnut. So I got the first ring here ready. They've all been cut and they've all been sanded to glue it up. It's nice and tight, so I'm going to go ahead and just glue it up. I got the maple bottom. I got the first thin ring of walnut on it. Maple bottom, thin ring of walnut. After I turn that, I'm going to put on the thick ring of maple. So what I'm going to do right now, though, is turn the inside, turn the bottom into it, because I can get to it real easy right now. Flatten it, then I'll glue the next ring on. Turn the inside, flatten this. Now I'm going to glue on the maple ring. This will be the final ring. A little bit of glue all the way around. Put it in tailstock. Bring it up. Spin it around to get the glue spread out. Line the joints up where they're brick laid. Not where the joints are lined up, but where they're brick laid. Tighten it down. We'll let it set for at least 15. We'll finish turning the... It's hot today. I've turned this. Wow. I don't like that. Got this part finished. Turned, sanded, shellac put on it. It's got a bad joint. I don't ever have bad joints. I always check them before I glue them. But it's got a bad joint. Little project. I never really wanted to do this project to start with. Now I got a bad joint. So what am I going to do? What I always do. Make a new ring, cut this ring off and put a new ring on it. I don't care. It's not going out of here with a bad joint on it. I turned this, put shellac on it, sand it, put shellac on it. Haven't turned the bottom yet. Before I do that, I'm going to start on the other one. Put the bottom piece on, turn it, put the thin light ring on it, turn that a little bit, and then put the dark ring on it. Bring it up to the same place this one is. So I'm going to start working on this before I turn the bottom or before I make the top for it. The camera's going to pick up my voice with all the air conditioners running. I finished turning this much of this one. I did not turn the bottom yet. Of course, I ain't made the top pieces yet either, but I got this one turned this much. Cut the top ring off the other one. I glued a new piece on. I'm going to let the glue set. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn it down the same stage as this one. So I'll have two just like this, only opposite colors. I got both of them now. Finished except for the bottoms. Got to make the top. Just going to use square piece for the top. Not going to put a ring on this like I did the big one. Just use this. Put a mortise, put it in a chuck, dish it out, make it fit. Same as I did the big one, only these will be thinner. After I make it fit, I'll drill a hole in the center, reverse it, and dome it a little bit. Very simple. One dark one, one light one. I got the dark one chucked up now, marked to make a mortise ring to cut it around. So I'm going to go ahead and fix both of these up with a mortise and cut them round. I got both of them cut fairly round. Got a mortise in both of them. This side's actually going to be the top. So I'm going to put it in the chuck, turn it round to fit the same diameter as the bottom. Then I'll turn the inside and make it so it'll fit right inside, just like I did the other one. I'll cut it so that it has a piece that fits right inside. Then I'll drill a hole for one of these. And then I'll turn it over and do the top. Very simple. So I'm going to mount this in the chuck, dish the inside, turn it round, make it fit, and make a lip so it'll fit right inside. The bottoms are made. The tops are made. Made the tops basically the same way I did the big one. Both of them. All I got left to do now, make a couple of knobs and then, of course, finish turning the bottom on both of them. Which ain't no problem turning the bottom. I don't know what I'm going to make knobs out of yet. I got to think about that for a bit. I need two knobs now. They can be the same or they can be different. I got this piece of Coca-Cola picked up somewhere. Got a crack in it. Got another crack in it down here. But I think I got enough solid wood here on the top. I can make two knobs with it. It should be big enough. 3/4 of an inch by 7/8 of an inch. So yeah, I can make probably a 3/4 of an inch knob for it. I'm going to cut it off just before the crack. See if I can make two knobs with it. Okay, I've got to turn the bottoms of both of these. To turn the bottoms of both of these, I'm going to hold them from the outside in the cold jaws. Going to bring up the center point. Then just turn the bottoms. Smooth this out a little bit, give them something to sit on. Nothing special. I ain't going real overboard with these. Same thing here. Smooth it out and just give it something to sit on so it'll be level. Put a little finish on them. So yeah, hold it from the outside by the cold jaws, bring up the center, and turn the bottoms. Two knobs are finished and put on. both Cocobolo. Each one a little bit different, not the same. One on that one on this one. Like I said, each one just a little bit different. So, I finally got these these boxes made that I've been tasked to do. Not happy about it, but I got it done. I hope you got something out of this little video. In the next video, I'm going to do something I've been wanting to do for a year or more. I'm going to make a new sled for the table saw. But what I'm going to do is make a very super accurate fence on it. I'm going to use a protractor that's 21 inches from a pivot point. And I've already downloaded the protractor. I got to glue it into plastic, and then I got to sink the plastic into the table. But I got to get it calibrated in just exactly the right spot. That's the trick. So I got a piece of plywood for it. It's not Baltic birch. I wish it was, but it's not. But it'll work. So please come back and see my next video. Thank you. Oh, and I'm leaving my email up here if you have any questions.